G'day folks, it's Laura here, and today I'm going to do a flip cup pour. This time my colours include the premium metallic lustrous gold, jaune brilliant, plum pink, the premium pearlescent magenta, purple madder and titanium white, and all of these paints are from Jo Sonja. Now I'm going to try a little experiment today. So I've been trying different pouring mediums, and today I'd like to trial just using one of the proprietary pouring mediums straight out of the bottle. Oh, that was difficult to get out. I think I might need more of that paint. Now I don't normally use pouring mediums, the proprietary ones, straight. Because they're a little bit too expensive, but I am interested to know what their effect is when you use them straight without mixing them with anything else, including Floetrol or wall paint or gloss medium, etc. They do tend to be a little bit too expensive for me to use them straight. Now I'm only going to use a very small amount of this purple madder because it's such a deep, rich colour. Okay. So the pouring medium I'm using today is the Atelier pouring medium, and this is not mixed with anything, it's just straight from the bottle. I've just added it into my squeeze bottle so that it has a little bit of pantyhose here to prevent any flakes from getting through. And this is a very thick pouring medium, but I'm using it today just with the Jo Sonja paints, and the Jo Sonja paints are actually quite thin in comparison to some of the other types of paints that you can get, including one that I commonly use, which are the Pebeo paints. So what I'm interested to know is this Atelier pouring medium an appropriate thickness when mixed only with the Jo Sonja paints, because they're relatively thin? And that's what I'm hoping to find out. I have a sneaky suspicion already, just because of how thick and difficult to squeeze this pouring medium is, that this is going to still be too thick, but we'll find out. Okay, something that I already can notice is because I'm using Jo Sonja paints rather than Pebeo paints, it's a lot easier to start getting that paint actually mixing thoroughly, which means I don't need to mix it as vigorously, which means I don't get as many bubbles. So that's one of the real disadvantages of using such a thick pouring medium, is that the bubbles can't generally escape. But if I don't need to mix it quite as vigorously, because it's using Jo Sonja paints rather than Pebeo, then I might be able to get away with it. This is a beautiful colour. Still very thick though, thicker than I'm used to. I think I am actually going to add a little bit more pouring medium to all of these, because when you're working with thicker paints, they don't go as far across your canvas. I just can't get over how thick this pouring medium is. It is a lot smoother though than the trial that I did with the Pebeo, even after I'd watered the Pebeo down. So I guess this could be a little promising. Now I have a suspicion that using such thick pouring medium is going to result in layers that are quite opaque and aren't going to, I guess, mix within them. So I guess we'll find out whether that happens. So it's time to layer my cup now. And for this, I'm going to use my standard cell activator. I'll link to a video on how to make this if you're interested. I'm going to start by adding a generous layer of cell activator to the bottom and the sides of the cup. And I'm going to start with some of the gold, and it is very thick. My goodness. These are definitely much thicker paints with this Atelier pouring medium straight than I ever usually use. The thinness of the cell activator is likely to offset some of the thickness of these paints, but it might cause unevenness when we actually spread the paint or spin it on the canvas. Wow, even dropping this paint from quite a height, because it's so thick, I can't get the dirty cup mixing effect. That's very interesting. This might be the most full flip cup I have ever done. It has literally got a bulge over the edge of the cup. I don't know how I'm going to go actually getting this to the other room, but I guess we'll find out. In any case, I've already prepared my canvas. So this is the back of my canvas. I've added painter's tape as well as giant push pins. So I went very slowly and carefully, and I did actually manage to get the cup in here without spilling any, which is remarkable. So it's time to flip the cup now, and this is just such an incredibly full cup. I'm going to get it everywhere, but it is very thick paint, so hopefully not all over the baseboard. Okie dokie. And the paint, because it is so thick, it's taking quite a while to spread out and fill the areas that had little gaps when I first flipped it. So that's quite interesting. Okay. Just get the excess paint out of the cup, spread it around the edges and the corners. I'm really liking the colours in this so far. So just going to pop the bubbles with my heat gun. Okie dokie, where do we go from here? So what I need to do is try to get the most interesting section of this pour into the center so that when I spin it, it will still be on the canvas. So this section down here I'm not so interested in, but I do need to fill this section up here. And it's going to be very hard because the paint is so slow to move. Wowee. And I don't really want to distort those cells enormously. Okay. I think perhaps that's a little better. So I'm going to try a spin now. Okay, so my current problem is actually this section here on the left, and so I am going to pull the paint back that way. Possible. that paint is not even moving at all. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so I'm going to off-center this slightly to see if I can help it move in that direction. Right, spinning it again. Okay, how did we go? We seem to have some particular angles where the paint is going off, probably because it contained a little bit more of the cell activator, so it's a little bit thinner. And it's not an effect I particularly love, actually. I'm just going to add some of the paint from the table to these sections that haven't been covered on the edges, just to let them flow a little better. Okay, now I'm just going to spin it again, but in the other direction. Okay, so that's about done. I didn't end up being able to cover this corner completely, I don't think, but that's okay. So overall, this has some interesting lacing and it has some beautiful colours in it, but to be honest, this composition is not really drawing me in so much. I like it on the whole, but it does have some bubbles coming up or cells coming up in random places, which I think will interrupt the design. And yeah, I think on the whole, this is the second experiment that I've done just using straight Atelier pouring medium. And this one was just with the thinner Jo Sonja paints as opposed to the thicker Pearlescent paints. And to be honest, this one's also not something that I really love. And so what I'm thinking is perhaps I won't be able to use the Atelier paint pouring medium straight. It'll need to definitely be diluted. So the last steps here are just to absolutely make sure that the corners are fully covered. And then once I've done that, pull off the paint from underneath the edges. I'm just not getting the beautiful layering effects that I usually really love in these acrylic pours. So yeah, I'm definitely thinking that the Atelier pouring medium on its own is far too thick, and maybe adding it to my standard pouring medium might be a better option. Excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining me today, everyone. Please let me know what you think in the comments.